Welcome, everybody. Hi, and we are recording. My name is Dr. Samantha Weller-Pilley. I am joined today by a new webinar host. Mandeep is here joining us today, and we'll get started in just a moment. Welcome, Mandeep, and welcome, everybody. Um, I hope you can hear me. Mandeep, can I hear you? Do you want to say hello?
Hi everyone. Hi
Ah,
Sam. Thank you for having me.
fantastic. Excellent. All right. Well, we are cooking and we're recording, and Gareth is in the background. He is supporting us. Fantastic. Let's get going. We're talking all about stress and weight loss today, and I am doing the slides. So let's get going. Um, Welcome, everyone. I know there'll be people that keep on joining us. We are the lifestyle medicine team here at Boots Online Doctor. As I said, my name is Samantha Weller-Pilley. I'm one of the GPs here. I'm lead for lifestyle medicine and am absolutely obsessed with all things holistic and especially the holistic weight loss journey and really a journey towards better metabolic health. And here we're here every Monday lunchtime to support you. And I'm joined today by our new host, Mandeep, who's going to say hi as well.
Hi everyone. Yeah, so my name is Mandeep and I'm one of the pharmacist prescribers here at Boots Online Doctor. So I've been working in the weight management service for quite a few years now and also been on my own personal weight loss journey. So this is all very relevant. I've recently also completed my postgraduate diploma in obesity and weight management. So I'm really keen to support as many people as possible on their journey. So really looking forward to today's webinar. Thank you.
Excellent. Welcome, Mandeep. Right. So we will get going as we always do with a bit of a check-in. Last week we had a totally new format. We had a big Q&A session. So Ruth and I just took all your questions last Monday. And let us know if you've had any positive changes over the last week. Pop your comments in the chat box, and let us know. You're also welcome. It's great to see you. Let us know where you might be in the country. Do say hello in the chat box. We are live, so we do see your chat comments. The Q&A box is also live. Please do pop in your questions. If you've already come along with a question, do pop them in the Q&A box. It's easier for us to see your questions in the question and answer box, which you'll find at the bottom of your Zoom screen. Um, we've just launched a poll now just to find out where you are on your journey. It really helps us to know who we're talking to so we can aim our advice more specifically to you. Just a little bit of housekeeping. Please do ask questions. We really want your questions. We want to answer them and support you as best we can in this holistic fashion. Do bear in mind that this is an open forum, so there are some questions which it's just simply not safe or appropriate for us to reply in this open forum, but you must ask they are important questions, of course, if they are things that are on your mind, ask your healthcare provider. If that is Boots Online Doctor, you can quite easily write in with your questions to us. Um, thank you very much. So lots of people have responded. Bear in mind that the polls are all anonymous, so we don't know who's answered what, but we do have an idea that just about the majority of us are midway through our weight loss journey. There are quite a lot of us just starting out, so welcome, welcome. Whether this is your first or your 40th webinar, you're very welcome. There's quite a few of us actually also maintaining, and I think what we know is the topography is changing a little bit. There's more of us on this maintenance path now than there have been before. So it's this information is really relevant to you as well. So thank you for being here. It's fantastic to have you all. Um, so let's see here. Let us move on to the next slide. Um, so I'm going to talk to you. So we're talking all about stress today, and what an impact stress has on our weight loss journey. Um, I just invite you at this point just to think about what causes you stress. So we know that, of course, stress is not something we can avoid in life, that things come up, life happens, and they can cause a little bit of turmoil. Okay. So I'll just ask you to have a think about what causes you stress, reflecting on triggers and coping strategies. And if you feel, you can always share those in the chat. We've all faced major stress in recent years with the whole um, global changes and all the rest of it, and right now all sorts of things going on that might be eating away at us and causing us distress. Um, so it's more important than ever to think about how we manage challenges in life. We know that physical health, um, mental, emotional health can suffer and therefore cause us stress. We know that our weight loss journey can cause us stress and conflict. We know that our relationships can cause us distress sometimes. Sometimes things don't always go smoothly. Um, Financially, we can feel stressed out, and technology increasingly can be quite stressful as well. So, what we really want to look at when we're thinking about stress and the stress of everyday life is how are we building our resilience? Um, what are our healthy outlets? How do we blow off steam? Um, and when we talk about stress, we talk about sort of acute stress, like something suddenly happening and having to deal with it in the moment, or we can talk about chronic stress, which is that overactive fight or flight, fight, flight, freeze nervous system overactive over time. So we're basically running on that sort of adrenaline fueled part of our nervous system. Okay. That can lead us to feel really fatigued. It can really impact our sleep, which also has a direct impact on our weight loss journey. And it can lead us to be more hungry we'll find ourselves snacking more. Of course, this can end up with us gaining weight. And today, what we would like to do is to consider some simple techniques to manage our stress and protect our health going forwards.
Thanks, Sam. So I will talk a little bit about how is stress impacting our weight loss. So we know that chronic stress affects our health and our waistline, unfortunately, contributing to mental strain and poor physical health and weight gain as well. Um, when we are stressed, we release something called cortisol in our body, which in turn increases and raises our blood sugars, which reduces insulin function. Now, this promotes fat storage, the type that we don't want, so which is known as visceral fat around our organs, especially around our abdominal organs, which is linked to heart disease and stroke. So when we're stressed, we're more likely to skip exercise. We want to choose more comforting processed foods, so high fat, high sugar foods. I know I'm the same when I'm stressed. I want to go for that chocolate bar. And that's all because of cortisol, which is driving this. And we may overeat as well for emotional comfort. Now, emotional eating itself can become a bit of a learned behavior as well, and it can be a short-term coping mechanism when we're stressed, but then our brains quickly adapt and learn this behavior, which in turn leads to weight gain over time. So it's really important that we try and incorporate certain vitamins and minerals to help to reduce, help to support our response to stress. And we'll talk a little bit more about these later on. I think the real kind of key here is knowing, being aware of your patterns and being aware of when you are stressed and what you're more likely to do. It's also important to remember that for those of you who are in your maintenance phase, that stress can still affect your eating patterns and your sleep as well. So again, helping to manage stress is going to help to prevent weight regain and keep your energy and mood stable as well.
That's great. Thanks, Mandeep. I think this next slide that I'm going to go on to is kind of reiterating what you've just said. And I think both of us have been on our own weight loss journeys, and we're very aware. I am certainly aware. I'm sort of person that does definitely emotionally eat to comfort myself when I am stressed. And recognizing those patterns can really help us to move forward in a more healthy way. But we have to recognize that chronic stress, particularly, can have major impacts on the body. And implementing those self-care and healthy habits is really key to managing that feeling of being really overwhelmed. Um, Stress and weight gain are closely interlinked, with much of the effect being hormonally driven, as Mandeep alluded to before. That cortisol pathway, that basically the steroid hormone cortisol prepares us for fight or flight. And you can see if we're chronically in fight or flight because we're running on empty, you can see how that cortisol will raise our blood sugar, stimulating the liver to release more glucose, also reducing insulin release. We can imagine that actually our blood sugars might be a bit all over the place when we are under stress over the long term. So over time, we can get this almost persistently high blood sugar contributing to insulin resistance, pre-diabetes, and then, of course, type 2 diabetes. in the short term, elevated insulin and blood sugar levels promote weight gain, and particularly that abdominal abdominal fat, the fat around our organs that we really want to avoid. But there is good news, which Mandeep's going to tell us about.
Yeah, there is definitely good news. So we can learn to manage sort of our response to stress and to support our body when we are going through these difficult times. So I guess the first thing is knowing your signs. So knowing your triggers and spotting when you are stressed out. And for everybody that looks slightly different, but some of the common things that you might recognize is difficulty concentrating, you might have headaches, you might get that sort of nervous feeling in your stomach, clenched teeth, feeling very on edge, or being quite irritable and withdrawn. And you might just know actually this week I'm going to have a particularly stressful week at work, and so you can help to try and build in some strategies to help to minimize some of that stress. So one of my most I guess one of my favorite ones is activity. When we're stressed out, we might not want to go and hit a hardcore session in the gym, but actually it's really important that we do some activity. It's going to help to boost our endorphins and help to promote relaxation as well. So this could just be a walk, a brisk walk outside, swimming, a fun activity. I've recently started doing badminton with my son and actually find that's really good for stress. And actually it's just a bit of fun as well, but it's movement. We're adding in more movement. Breathing exercises is another fantastic one, and Sam will talk us through one shortly. Sleep. So I can't emphasize restful sleep enough. It's very important for our recovery and resilience, and more so when we are feeling stressed out. Eating to make sure that we're balancing our blood sugars again. So this is going to help to reduce our cravings. It's going to support our mood as well. So try and leaning towards more healthier snacks as opposed to going for the chocolates. So try and put in something healthy. So if you know you're having a particularly stressful week at work, or you've got tight deadlines, you may want to think about preparing some like for example high protein snacks, or having some like dates and nuts to hand in, and maybe leaving off the chocolates. Another particular one, which is my favorite, is self-care and taking some time out to recharge and reset. And sometimes this can just look like a cup of tea. So just taking 5 minutes out just to sit down and have a cup of tea or a herbal, whatever your preference, or maybe picking up the phone to a friend and just having a few minutes of a conversation. It doesn't need to look like a big spa weekend away, although that is great as well. But just building little things into your day really to help to support your response to stress. And like we mentioned earlier, knowing your triggers is really important to be able to plan ahead so you can avoid these. Equally, this still applies to people who are in the maintenance phase as well. So if you're not in your weight loss journey, but you're managing your weight loss, so stress management is going to help to keep all your hormones, sleep, motivation, in particular, in balance as well. So it's really good idea to think of it as protecting your progress rather than restarting your journey. So hopefully that's helpful.
Yeah. Thank you, Mandeep. I just wanted to pick up a few comments in the chat box that I hadn't noticed before. So, hi everybody. Andrea's noticing that her taste buds are changing this week. Daph's nose has started back at the gym. Oh, fantastic. Great. A 6-month joint program. I'd love to hear more about that. Maybe that's with a gym buddy and it's sort of keeping you accountable like that. Tell us more about that. I'd like to know what your that program is all about. Um, okay, all right. So, sometimes I can't tell the difference between anxiety and hunger. That's interesting. So that could be to do with cortisol as well, because cortisol, of course, is part of that stress response, basically. So when our body is under stress, we have that fight flight reaction. Adrenaline is released immediately, and cortisol is the thing that's the hormone that kind of is a more long-term hormone. And if we have a lot of cortisol buzzing around our body and adrenaline, then it can certainly create feelings of anxiety if we're living in that fight flight freeze state. So yeah, I guess can it be confused with hunger? I guess hunger is I would want to ask you a few more questions about that, Andrea, about your sleep, because of course we know that there are several hormones that are active in feelings of hunger, leptin and ghrelin being the two main ones that we talk about. But yeah, why they called it's an interesting question. It's something that I probably have to look up to find out to give you a proper answer rather than fudge an answer for you right now. But thank you for sharing those. We also had you do another poll for us, letting us know about your stress levels kind of day to day. Um, Lots of us were already aware that stress impacts ability to lose weight. Um, yeah, and lots of us, it's not surprising that frequently a lot of us feel stressed. Um, uh, and lots of us, 66% of us here, use food to cope with stress. I would definitely put my hand up to that one. I definitely find myself reaching for the cookie jar. I'm more of a sweet person. You might be a crisp person. Reach for the kettle chips or what have you. Um, yeah, what kind of symptoms are we getting? Craving for sugary or comfort food is the winner. Feeling anxious, irritable, or overwhelmed. Yeah. Okay. So this isn't to these polls and quizzes aren't at all to judge anyone, but it's to make us aware of our patterns, to just bring in a little bit of reflection into, how stress is impacting us on a day to day, because it can be really tricky to manage, especially if we don't even realize. Sometimes we're just living in the state of fight or flight, and we just don't even realize because we're just constantly on a treadmill and we don't have time to reflect. So, Mandeep has given us lots of ideas about self-care and ways that we can look at stress. I'm going to just go through now just a nice exercise, a box breathing exercise, really simple breathwork practice that is used even in the military to calm the nerves of our, military forces. So it must be fairly good. I think there's good evidence behind this one as well. Basically, I'm also a yoga therapist, so I know a lot about a broad range of topics. So when I teach yoga, I talk about the breath being that connection between body, mind, heart, and soul. This um, ephemeral thing that we can impact. We can use breath. We can use breath work when we're practicing yoga, when we are meditating, when we are walking down the street, when we are stuck in a traffic jam. We can use our breath to calm our nerves. We can use our breath to harmonize ourselves and to ground into who we are. So, um, what we know happens when we do this kind of breath, which we're going to run through a couple of rounds now, just as a practice, you can do it. I used to do this breath between patients when I was doing NHS general practice. I do it before I knew I was doing quite a difficult home visit, just to bring myself present and in the moment and calm my any anxiety I might be feeling, or just kind of have that kind of fresh or blank slate, let's say, before the next thing, before I'm about to walk into that meeting or go to that next patient I know I've got, might be complicated. I'm going to go in without holding on to the story of the last person I saw, this kind of, right, let's just center ourselves and go forward. So I think we can probably all relate to something like that in the lives that we lead. So I will invite you to close your eyes if it is possible for you to do so where you are. And we're just going to be breathing in and out through the nose. Okay, so if you just close your eyes and just relax where you are on the seat that you're sitting on. Okay, I'm going to close my eyes too. And all we're going to do is going to breathe in for a count of 4, 2, 3, 4. Hold on a full inspiration for 4, 3, 4. Exhale for a count of 4, 3, 4. And hold on a full expiration for 4, 3, 4. And we go back again. Breathe in for a count of 4. And you can count at your own pace. It's generally one number per second. And holding for 4, exhaling for 4, 3, 4, holding on a full expiration for 4, 3, 4. We'll do a couple more rounds just to get that into our practice. So we're breathing in, 1, 2, 3, 4, holding 2, three, four. Exhaling, two, three, four. Holding, two, three, four. Inhaling, two, three, four. Holding, two, three, four. Exhaling, two, three, four. And holding, two, three, four. It's a really gentle breath. Just notice how you feel after you've done a few rounds of that. You can do it for a minute or two, and just really notice how you feel. That's part of the practice as well, to actually build in that self-awareness. And it's a really easy one to do. So it's one that you can use in that acute stress when something is actually happening or you're in a busy day. Can you take 60 seconds out to do some box breathing to just calm your nerves? Okay. So we are going to go on to some nutrients, which Mandeep's going to tell us all about.
Thanks, Sam. That was brilliant. And that breathing exercise is definitely one of my favorites. And I was doing it before I joined this webinar. So it's good to do it again. Thank you. Yeah, no, definitely a useful tool to have. So, yeah, so let's talk a little bit about which nutrients we should be focusing on when we are feeling particularly stressed. So, the nutrients are what we've got listed here. They're not just for when we're stressed. These are, and they're not just for weight loss. They're our foundation for long-term energy and for resilience. So by maintaining a nutrient-dense diet, it's going to help to protect our muscle mass and our mood as well over time. So to begin with, protein and fiber, really important, always go hand in hand. And protein in particular is really important during stressful periods because it provides the amino acids that we need to produce neurotransmitters, which help to regulate our mood and help our body to manage stress. Really important of protein, especially as part of our weight loss journey as well, helping us to keep fuller for longer and helping with our muscle mass as well. It can also help to play a role in maintaining healthy blood sugar levels, which, as we mentioned earlier on, this is also affected by stress, and it helps to support our body's stress response hormones as well. Um, Magnesium. So our needs for magnesium may be higher when we are stressed. So magnesium helps to regulate the nervous system, helps to promote and helps to balance our stress hormones like cortisol. And it also helps to promote relaxation. So we are finding magnesium is also linked with helping with muscle tension, sleep quality, and also it may help to reduce anxiety. So for me, I think that's a very good reason to stock up on dark chocolate, in moderation, of course. And the last two, just to sort of draw your attention to, is our B vitamins and vitamin C. Really important that we incorporate these on a daily basis into our diets. They're known as water-soluble vitamins, which means our bodies don't store them. So it is important that we replenish the stores of these as regularly as possible. So try and incorporating these into your meals is quite important.
Absolutely. All right. Thank you very much. So, um, now let us know, what do you think on the basis of what we've talked about today? Um, let us know what changes you're going to make to your the way that you manage stress. Let us know. Thank you for sharing. We've got Daph has shared that the exercise class she's got, it's a Nuffield program for anyone with joint pain. It involves 2 sessions a week, one in the gym, doing on the equipment, and one doing circuits or aqua. Okay, and you don't have to be a member. Oh, 6 months free gym membership. Oh, that's great. Okay, thank you for sharing that. Sometimes I know that gyms can be a bit intimidating for people, but it sounds like they are trying to make, and this gym chain is trying to make an effort to make it more inclusive. That's fantastic. And we have just got the little poll here, just asking you about what you might be doing going forward. Let us know. It can be, stress is a big one, and definitely we can really find ourselves struggling and being in a position of as Mandeep has already said, we go into these patterns of like the old ways that we've had to deal with things, and we've always seen, you know, a Mars bar as the crutch that we have. But actually, what happens when we start to bring awareness to these patterns, these unhelpful patterns, when we're on a weight loss journey, that Mars bar really is not helping us. We know that logically, but you know, it's our emotions that sort of take over when we really need, when we feel we really need that support. So let us know. Uh, Thank you for answering the poll. It's easier to get more answers from you. Breath work or meditation, people are going to be into that to change the negative effects of stress. More movement, boosting protein. Oh, meditation and breath work is the winner. Meal planning is also in there, and being prepared. I think being prepared is a really, if we can, I know sometimes something happens and it's a challenge and you have had no time to prepare for it at all. You just have to deal with it. And then we just have to deal with it. But the things that are predictable, I think we can make an effort to really look at, right, what healthy snacks am I going to have available for myself? Am I going to put maybe even putting in a little alarm on your phone that, you know, every hour and a half, I actually take a 5 minute break for a herbal tea or for some breath work, some box breathing. You know, you just take yourself away from the screen and come back to yourself and then approach whatever you were doing with fresh eyes, something like that, just to have a process where your system is not getting completely overwhelmed and dysregulated. So, um, thank you for sharing your insights there. Um, we would we will move on to the Q&A session now. So if you have any questions, I've seen a few questions in the chat box and there are a few already in the Q&A box. But if you have questions about any aspect of your weight loss journey, please do ask. We love your questions and we know that you are full of them because we had a whole session last time all about um, with just questions, and you guys didn't stop. You had tons of questions for us, so thank you for that. So I will stop sharing slides because you don't need those anymore. Give me 1 second. There we go. Right, hello. So questions. Um, right, we have a question here. Okay, we have a question here. I had a win as someone I'd not seen for a while became um, became the first outsider to notice my weight loss. Why, though, did I feel it necessary to brush away the comment and say, "Oh, nothing to see here"? I think that's a very, dare I say it, a very British thing to do, and to kind of minimize. Uh, you know, I assume it as a compliment or just a, you know, maybe we're not very good at something to reflect on, really. I think I'm a bit like that sometimes. I don't really like attention being drawn to things by people who I don't know very well. Um, yeah, so I think sometimes it's kind of appropriate. It depends who the person was, so I won't comment whether but if it made you just, you know, want to brush it off. I think that's okay. I think that's okay. As long as you in yourself are feeling good about noticing your weight loss and you're feeling good where you are and moving along your journey, okay. Sometimes it depends, doesn't it? It depends what you feel from the other, whether it's a nice comment, whether it's, you know, a comment that you is welcome or not very welcome, and it's fine if it's not welcome. You don't have to acknowledge it or spend any time on it. Just move through. But it's important how you feel about yourself. Sometimes it's helpful and validating if an external person notices though, isn't it? But it depends on who that person is and how you take the comment. What do you think, Mandy?
Yeah, no, I agree. I think I know like I've been on my own weight loss journey, so when I'm not seeing people for a while and somebody might say, "Oh, you look really good," and then sometimes because you're not quite where you want to be, you don't know how to receive that comment. But I always think actually that's great. If somebody else can notice it, even better. But yeah, I can relate to that comment.
Yeah. Um, Someone has asked a very good question. What about emotional drinking? I only truly relax if I've had a drink. I don't drink heavily, but I do drink regularly. Thank you for asking that question. It's a really good point, and actually probably something we should mention in this stress webinar that a lot of us do turn to a glass of wine or a beer or whatnot to unwind. And I think it's something that is, you know, personal, cultural, perhaps sometimes. Um, I think it's. I would also just be aware of your language around it. I'm not, you know, I don't as long as it's I think as long as it's, a glass of wine or a beer, I don't think that's really something that we need to worry about or be too concerned about. I would um, let you know that, they're fairly high energy and low nutritional value in our alcoholic drinks, but we all have a life and we all have our own wishes, what we want to do. Um, what I will say is that what I wanted to say is I would just be cautious in sort of telling yourself the only way I relax is with a drink, because I don't think that's the only way your body can relax. I think there are probably lots of ways your body can relax, but that's one that you found is effective. Okay. If I think because you've mentioned it here, I think it might be something that you're thinking about as that you're reflecting on, and that's a personal journey. Um, and maybe reflect on it. And if you think that actually maybe I shouldn't be drinking as regularly as I am to relax, then maybe think about some of the things we've talked about other ways you can care for yourself that don't involve drinking alcohol, um, and other things that you would enjoy and that would relax you really well. Maybe it's like having a bath. Maybe it is, going to ringing a friend and having a really good laugh and finding that really takes your mind off things, and just laughing is great. It's so good for your body. It's so good in terms of your hormones, endorphins, and just that, flexing that social muscle as well. There are many things. And if anyone has any suggestions for ways to relax that don't involve alcohol, do let us know. It's not, I don't want to judge. It's not about judging anyone for drinking alcohol. But it's something to be aware of, and thank you for bringing it up because we haven't touched on it actually today. Emotional drinking is something to keep an eye on and reflect on, and to be honest with yourself. Do you think this is something that you could try swapping out for something else? Do you think if you do drink more than one glass of wine or more than that one beer, would you um, could you drink less than that, than the amount that you drink at the moment, or swap it out for something else? Let us know how you get on with that because I'd be interested. I think it's something that probably is very common.
Mm.
Yeah. Um, oh, this might be the same person. Two or three drinks, two or three times weekly. Yeah, and I'm aware of the calorific content. Okay, so two or three drinks, I would say is actually a fair amount if that's two or three times weekly. That is something, so I understand why you've brought it up and asked the question, because I think one, it's not going to be helping your weight loss journey. Two, there are other ways that you could relax. And I would just maybe put that, I would suggest maybe challenging yourself with that. Is there something else you could do that would give you some really good relaxation that doesn't involve alcohol? And is it drinking on your own? Is it drinking with a partner, or is it drinking at home or at the pub or whatnot? Have a think, because there might be other behaviors associated. It's also with alcohol, it's the other behaviors associated with alcohol. Sometimes we don't make the best choices around snacks or meals that we have when alcohol's involved. Two to three drinks might feel like not very much to you, and it doesn't impact your judgment at all, but think about it because they do mount up. And are they sort of mixed drinks that you're pouring yourself? Are these more than a I could go into this for a long time about alcohol and alcohol intake, but I think have a think about it because the very fact that you've brought it up here today is something means that you've been considering it for a while, I think. So I would encourage you to reflect a bit more and see if you could swap out one or two of those occasions during the week for something else.
Or even swapping to one of my favorite hacks is alcohol-free drinks. So there's quite a few. There's good range on the market now, or having like alcohol-free days as well. So maybe a little hack is just maybe just swapping it. So you're still getting maybe that same taste if that's what you're associating with relaxing, but without the actual alcohol content. So that might be something to build in to begin with, and then obviously reducing your intake over time.
Yeah. Yeah, and it doesn't have to be overnight, Mandy, but absolutely right. It doesn't have to be dead stop right now. It's just gradual, and it starts with reflecting and being aware of the habit that you want to change. So thank you for asking that question. Um, what else have we got? Oh, we've got other people suggesting things that they've been doing. How fantastic. Um, oh, you just Da, 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 da. Where was it? Oh, I find singing amateur theatre really takes me away from the stress of life. Fantastic. That's a great suggestion. I sing in a choir. I find it uses a different part of my brain and I absolutely love it. Um, okay, what else have we got here? Um, Helen would like best meal ideas to increase protein and fiber for quick lunches. Oh, great question. So what I will ask Gareth to do is share the core meal plan. That can be really helpful to build meals. They're really good for meal prep as well, just sort of building blocks to have that protein and fiber, and that the kind of a good nutrient dense meal that is filling and that keeps you satisfied. So, when you have a good amount of protein and fiber in your diet, you really stabilize your blood sugar over the day. We talk about this a lot of kind of not having this sort of big roller coaster ride of blood sugar over the day because you just end up either, you know, wired with sugar or crashing with a sort of sugar dip, and you're kind of constantly battling to keep your blood sugar nice and stable. Whereas if you have a good amount of protein and fiber 3 times a day, you really do have a much more gentle curve of that blood sugar over the day, and that is a lot less stressful for your body, and you're not sort of running around looking for snacks and physically craving things because your blood sugar is all over the place. Um, Great. What else have we got here? Do pop your questions in the Q&A box if you have any more. Oh, okay. 7 weeks in and still only 3.5 kilos down despite a healthy diet. Any questions? How to? Okay. Um, so, uh, Not to become disheartened. Okay, really important to recognize that weight loss is not a straight line. Okay, 3.5 kilos is a good amount of weight. Okay, that's not disappointing at all. We're not looking for fast weight loss in any way because we know, Mandeep knows well because she has done postgraduate studies in this, that we do not want to lose weight quickly, that fast weight loss is the kind of weight loss that is regained very fast too. Okay, but if you lose weight very fast, the danger is that you lose your fabulous muscle tissue as well. And we want to preserve as much muscle tissue as we can. One, because we want to stay strong, and two, because our muscle tissue is metabolically active, which means even when you're sat watching Netflix, your muscle tissue is burning calories for you. We don't talk a lot about calories in this webinar series. It's just a unit of energy. That's all I'm referring to there. So it is burning more energy. Your muscle fibers are burning more energy when you are sat around doing very little. Whereas fat tissue, while it has some metabolic activity, has much less. Okay, so we want to be burning the fat tissue, building the muscle tissue. And when we lose weight very fast, that is when we are in danger of losing muscle as well, and also slowing down our metabolism because the body is very confused and thinks there's some kind of drought going on and that we will never eat again. And so it's trying to slow everything down, conserve everything, because our bodies are brilliant, but they are primal or primitive, right? In many ways, that our physiology is trying to protect us. And when we lose weight fast, the body kind of gets worried and slows everything down to preserve our energy and diverts our resources to the most vital functions of our body. So think about it in that sense. So 3.5 kilos in 7 weeks, I'm not disappointed with that at all. I think you're doing well. And I think if you keep going with it, go for the core meal plan, start doing some resistance activity, you will start seeing change. It will start changing. And if I that's all the information I have about you. I'd want to look back and see where we are with you, in terms of changes and where you are, where you're starting from. But please don't be disheartened that you're doing great and you're probably still on a relatively low dose. And it will depend on your side effects and all the rest of it, whether you want to increase the dose. I'm assuming that you're on a weight loss injection because the advice that we're giving, just to reiterate this as well, I don't think I've said it this webinar. This advice is for whether you're on a GLP-1 injection or not, to be honest, because we know from the thousands of patients that we treat and from, our extensive studies that when you are on a weight loss medication, it can really help you, but you really need to get the holistic side on board as well, because that's it's the combination that will really support you. And if you're not on an injection, doing the lifestyle stuff will work. It may take a little bit longer, but it still will work for you. And you can't really, with the injections, you can't do one without the other. It just they're a they are a double act, if you like.
I was just going to say, I think that's great as well, actually, for 7 weeks in. And as you mentioned, Sam, slow and steady is the way forward, and that's absolutely that is what we encourage. And also not to become so focused on the numbers on the scale as well. I do often say this to people. So, body measurements, we don't do that enough. But having a look, even just how your clothes are fitting. But if you wanted to, take waist measurements, arm measurements, sometimes they tell a bit more of a story than just fixating on numbers on the scale as well. But no, I think
Absolutely.
that's really good. Yeah, and slow and steady is you're more likely to keep it off in the future as well. So it's
Yep.
really good. Well done.
Um, okay. What else have we got on here? Uh, um, there's a question just about injecting. Is it better to inject morning or night? It's total personal preference. There's no whatever time you can remember, and just it's better to have it kind of, I guess, in a routine. So you choose. It makes no difference to the effectiveness of the medication. Uh, okay. Are there any other questions from anybody? Oh, very quiet today. Um, mm, oh, someone's just put the question. Diet Coke. Uh, Diet Coke question mark? No, thank you for me. But if you want to ask about diet drinks, do you want to talk about diet drinks, Mandeep, or would you like me to?
I'm not a fan. So
No,
it's in short, it's a no from me. I guess if it's a swap, so I guess if it's going to support you on your journey. So, at the moment you're drinking like full fat Coke and that's your go-to, and you're doing this as a bit of a hack. You're going to swap to Diet Coke with the view to coming off it and then maybe replacing that with water or which is the ideal, or maybe like squash or other kind of like herbal teas and things like that, then yeah, great. But yeah, no, I'm not a fan either. I think sugar content is really high, and it's like you're drinking your calories, as Sam mentioned before. So I would definitely think about swaps. Short term, fine. But yeah, maybe long term, get the water.
yeah. I mean, I know a lot of us, if we're used to drinking fizzy drinks and
Mm.
sweetened drinks, it can be a bit tricky, can't it, to go straight to water. So I think that's a really good, as a step down, yeah. I mean, I guess the clue is in the name, Diet Coke or Coke Zero or whatever, but it just unfortunately, the body, as I've said, primal, primitive, it's a sweet drink. Your body will still release insulin because it recognizes the sweet taste of Diet Coke or zero drinks, or whatever they are. So they are also super ultra processed. So in general, I would want us all to steer away from fizzy drinks. Water's great. You can flavor it with lemon or fruit or berries, to make it more interesting. Herbal teas are fantastic. You know, um, there are lots of healthier options these days of, making, still drinks more interesting. I know that, if we're used to drinking Coke, then a glass of water just seems like kind of, awful, I can imagine. But it's a gentle process. I think we had a comment earlier about taste buds changing. I think, when we kind of pound our taste buds with a very strong, sweet taste, like a full fat Coke, for example, our body's very used to that, or our tongue and our taste buds are very used to that. So it might take a bit of time to change those taste buds. It's like if we take 5 sugars in our tea or something, right? So you start off at 5 sugars in your tea. Can you reduce that by a teaspoon every couple of weeks or something? Because if you've done that for 50 years, it's a big deal to change it. So we do appreciate that it's not necessarily something overnight. In general, Diet Coke is not something I would recommend to anyone, or Diet Coke or diet anything, because it's still got all the artificial sweeteners in it. But as a step down, you know, with a view to stopping that eventually too, then great. And sometimes maybe it's a bit of a comfort thing, the kind of the sound of the can opening or whatnot. I'm sure it's, for some of us that's like a um something that's very comforting. So again, awareness and slowly, these things don't have to change overnight because we've some of these are habits of a lifetime, aren't they, that um, we're trying to swap out. So let's be kind to ourselves and do things slowly. Right. Okay, I missed last week's Q&A and wondering what sort of speed of weight loss we should expect. I'm on Wegovy and have been since the 5th of Feb, so 5.5 weeks in, I've lost 2.5 kilos till today. Is this normal? I feel it's slow. It's unrealistic to expect 1 kilo a week of weight loss. I've not heard others losing more, but not sure if it's Manjaro or Wegovy. So this is similar question to what we've had. So basically, we are looking for an average weight loss of 1 to 2 pounds a week. Okay, an average. All right. So some weeks will be more, some weeks will be less. And we're really looking for slow and steady weight loss because we know, as Mandeep said before, fast weight loss is the kind of weight loss that is regained quickly. Okay. We don't want very fast weight loss because we talked about losing muscle mass. Also, we could talk about skin laxity as well. If we start losing weight really fast, our skin doesn't have a chance to contract and just, contract with the weight loss. Yeah. I think there's a lot of total rubbish on social media and dramatic stories of crazy weight loss, and we are not looking for those. We really want slow and steady. We kind of want to mimic a unmedicated weight loss journey. Okay, so you don't need medication to lose weight. Human beings have been losing weight for millennia without medication. We've just got this new thing that is helping us. And I know a lot of us find it a real lifeline. So, if you need to use it, if you want to use it, that's your choice. But just remember that we are not looking for dramatic results that are quick. Okay, so we're looking an average of 1 to 2 pounds a week as a sort of safe boundary to be in. So you having lost 2.5 kilos in 5.5 weeks on the lowest dose, I'm happy with that. Are you happy with that, Mandy?
Yeah, again, I think that's absolutely fine, and by doing it slowly, it allows us to ha incorporate and build these healthy behaviors as well, into our lifestyle, so that actually, when you get to a point where you no longer need the medication or lower dose, then you've still embedded those lifestyle changes and behaviors. So, absolutely, I think slow and steady is the way forward, and I think you've got off to a really good start. So, keep that up.
Tortoise, not hare,
And
exactly.
I just thought, yeah, absolutely.
Um, yeah, that's great. So, um, let's see. Do Any other questions from anyone? I want to pick up on some of the. Okay. Oh, 2 weeks on, I'm still getting the craving. When will the craving stop? So, are you 2 weeks into the first dose of a pen? Um, just. Oh, oh, we've got more. Ah, sorry. Oh, things I haven't noticed. Um, so 2 weeks. If you're 2 weeks into your first ever pen, then and you're still feeling cravings or thinking a lot about food and your appetite isn't particularly suppressed, I'm not really surprised.
Mm.
You're right at the beginning of a journey, so don't expect too much right at the beginning. Your body is just getting used to a new medication, so don't please don't panic. Um, yeah, please don't panic. Do have a look at our recordings. All of our webinars are up on the YouTube channel, which Gareth might be able to share with us, because you can watch the repeats. And we do a whole webinar on cravings, all about managing blood sugar over the day to just help you protein and fiber with every meal, just to help you feel full over the day. And there are some questions here. Right. Someone is feeling very stressed about coming off the injections. I've reduced the dose back to 2.5 and gradually reducing the frequency, but will the hunger return with a vengeance when it leaves my system? Or if it feels okay now, what will that continue? Well, I think if that feels all right now, Chris, I don't know what dose you went up to. So if you're on the 15 and you've come all the way down to 2.5 and you're feeling pretty good on the 2.5, I think you're doing brilliantly. Um, it kind of obviously depends if you've been managing how you've been managing. I do completely understand about feeling stressed about coming off because I think this is what we are seeing now more and more people coming to the end of their sort of acute phase of weight loss and they're happy with their new weight. Um, what to do now? I don't, Mandy, what do you think of that?
Yeah, so I agree. I'm a bit of a fan of staying on a lower dose for longer because naturally, when we completely withdraw the medication, our receptors aren't being blocked, so hunger will naturally return. But you will have built some great behaviors that will help as a buffer and help to maintain, your weight loss. But I think staying on a lower dose for longer, if that's something that's feasible for you. Again, there's a lot of factors that come into play because it depends on sort of where you're at in with your BMI and how you're getting on, things like that. But that might not necessarily be a bad choice, and that might be something to consider. But we are hearing this a lot now. I think people are getting a little bit stressed about coming off the injections, and yeah, really, it's just about trying to maintain a lower dose for longer might be more helpful.
Yeah, because it might be more of a psychological crutch because you are on a very low dose and that might not be doing an awful lot. But then, as I say, um, I don't know what dose you sort of achieved or your weight loss on. If you achieved it on five, you were brilliant on five, and that's what and you just dropped to half, then that's different to if you were on 15 and you've come down to 2.5. So think about it in your personal situation, but it's okay to stay on 2.5 for as long as you need um, to maintain and feel confident and to make sure those habits are in place, that, that you've made the changes, you know what to do, you know what the journey involves now maintaining and keeping your motivation up, that sort of thing. So thank you for asking that question. Should we limit the consumption of herbal teas? I guess it depends. I don't, as far as I know, there shouldn't really be a problem with the amount of herbal, if you're having mint tea or, ginger, or if you're enjoying it, I don't think that there is a problem to limit. If there's a particular example of a particular herbal tea that you're concerned about, I know some of them actually do have, like, for example, yerba mate has a fair amount of caffeine in it. I
Mm.
think. Is it yerba mate? I might be wrong. Anyway, some it will depend on which tea you're talking to. If you're talking about, if you'd like to let us know if you have a particular concern over a particular tea, we will try and help you. What about kombucha instead of diet drinks? I love kombucha, and it's a good alternative. It can be a bit sweet, so just have a look at the can, because again, it will have sugar, probably natural sugar, which is, I think, better than a fake sugar. Um, but and also it's fermented, which can be, if your tummy can take it, great. Some of us are a little sensitive to fermented food. Fermented foods are great for your gut, so it's something that we would recommend. But sometimes we can only take a little bit, and then we have to build up our tolerance to fermented foods like kombucha or drinks like kombucha. But great question. I'm not a fizzy drinker. I tend to drink green or black tea. Is that any good for me? Great. Yeah, I think so. Again, I've just watched the caffeine intake if you are in terms of sleep, but otherwise, green tea is great. Black tea, I love black tea, so yeah, I think that's great. Um, it depends, obviously, if you take sugar with your tea, of course, just bear that in mind. I think it's fairly obvious just to bear in mind if there are five sugars in your tea, how many cups of tea you're taking over the day. It's obviously going to add to your energy intake of the day. I'm being facetious, but some of us have a habit of having sugary tea.
And try and buffering it with water. So one of my vices is coffee, especially when I'm working. So I know that's something that I need to look at reducing. So what I've built in recently is just making sure I'm having a glass of water either side of like my coffee as well, just to maintain
Yeah.
my hydration.
Yeah. And I drink herbal teas because I don't like cold drinks for some reason. Just a bit strange like that. I don't like cold drinks. So I always have to have a hot drink. But then I don't always want to have like a milky tea or coffee. So I do herbals. That helps me. And I tend to just have, whatever is in the cupboard, usually mint. Um, and I don't think that there is a problem. I don't think you can overdose on mint tea. Um, Right, someone has just begun on 2.5 Wegovy this week, which is the 2.5 Wegovy or 0.25 Wegovy. Is there a limit on how long you can stay on this medication for? I think you might mean 0.25, the very first dose of Wegovy. Um, There is no real limit as long as it is suiting you. If it's working for you, then you can stay on that dose for as long as you like to. As far as if you could, if you were one of our customers, I don't know if you are or not. If you want to stay on the lowest dose, then that is okay. Um, okay, okay. Well done, Chris. His BMI is now well into the healthy weight. Fantastic. Good for you. Long may it continue. Um, I've got a person who is losing weight very slowly, a pound a week or less on average, on Manjaro, 6 months, but nervous to go up higher. Um, I would maybe message your provider. If that's us, you're very welcome to. If you have a specific question about being nervous to increase your dose, it might be that you have a bit of scope there. If you're losing a pound a week or less, you you could go up a little bit higher potentially, but I don't know anything else about you, so I don't want to give you any clinical advice. But I would write into your provider. If it's us, we are very responsive on messages, so let us know and we can support you. The person is drinking fennel and chamomile teas. I don't think that you can overdose on that. Chamomile might make you a bit sleepy. Um, that's the only thing I would say. It's just very relaxing. I think if might be good if you're feeling a bit stressed, if you're having fennel and chamomile. Um, Someone says three sweetener. Is that, sorry, that might be following on from another question. Okay, so you're having sweeteners in your green or black tea. It is not a terrible thing. Okay, these are everything in context. So while a sweetener might have 0 calories, like we said before, your body will still recognize the sweetness. Okay, so you will have an insulin response to sweeteners in your black tea or green tea. Okay, so just be aware of that. And if you can, my advice would be to slowly, slowly reduce the three sweeteners. Can you go down to eventually go down to one? Can you eventually go down to zero? I know that it's quite bitter. Green tea is quite bitter. Black tea also, it's quite a pungent taste without um, milk or sugar. So it might take a while. See if you can. At the end of the day, it's not the end of the world, but it's something that you might want to be thinking about reducing. Because I think it also feeds our craving for sweet, you know. So we want to kind of reduce. We don't need so much sweet, in the world. Things are very, very sweet, and our we are training our bodies to respond to very, very sweet when we don't need to. There's plenty of other options out there, and that sweet, unfortunately, tends to be around those treat foods, which are not helpful on our weight loss journeys. That is being said by someone who has a sweet tooth or has historically had a sweet tooth, but has trained herself out of a lot of it. And our taste buds do change. Let's remember that. It doesn't have to be this awful task because as we kind of desensitize ourselves to that uber sweet taste, like I don't think I could even look at a full fat Coke that it's so sweet, it just blows my mind how sweet it is. But obviously some people have been drinking it their whole lives and don't notice. But I think when we start to change our choices and sort of approach things with more awareness, we can make different choices that support us in the long term. So we are very close to closing. Any more questions? Any more for any more? Is fennel constipating? I don't think as a tea it would be. Maybe fennel I mean, is fennel constipating? I have not heard that. I mean, it's a vegetable, so I don't think so. I think it's actually quite fiber rich. Um, I think as a tea, you would be all right. That was a question in the webinar chat. Um, okay. Someone is asking about dosing. How long should you stay on the 2.25? On any dose, 0.25 or any in dose of the injection, the way we do things at Boots is that you don't have to increase your doses. You don't have to go up to the higher doses. Not everyone can. Not everyone can tolerate them. It will be very individual. We're not going to give any one-on-one advice that is not appropriate on this webinar. But um, if if you would prefer to stay on a lower dose for longer, which is really what we recommend, honestly, because if you don't need to go up, if you are losing weight well at a very low dose, why can't you just stay on that dose? And you're tolerating well, you don't have any side effects, and you're able to have the headspace to make the healthy choices, change the behaviors that are going to see you through when eventually you come off that medication. What will keep the weight off and what will support you in the long term are the changes you make now that we talk about on these webinars. Um, an interesting question about the injection increasing menopause symptoms. I have not heard that. Um, have you heard that, Mandy?
I haven't come across this either. I'm sure we have got a webinar which covers
Which covers menopause, but
yeah.
we haven't, but we haven't come across the injections actually affecting menopause symptoms. Um, but if you are a Boots customer, please do message us in if you're having difficulties, and we'll see if we can help you or signpost you to the people who can. But it is just past 2 o'clock, and thank you so much, everyone, for joining us and for being part of the webinar today. Well done, Mandy. Thank you so much and completing your first webinar. Fantastic. Well done. Hopefully, it was painless and actually quite fun. Um, Thank you, everybody. Do come and join us next time. We've got another webinar next week. I think we're talking about sleep, and the week after we're talking about psychology, and the Tuesday, which is after I think a bank holiday, so we've got the 7th of April. It's all yo-yo dieting. Do sign up. I think Gareth will share the link. Has already shared the link. Um, Thanks, everybody, for your excellent questions and comments. It really helps when you guys participate. We love hearing from you, and thank you so much. Thank you, Mandeep, and we will see you again.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye, everybody.